Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 640 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, it's all a bit out and about and rough and ready. So that's the reason why I'm coming to you in selfie mode at this minute in time. We'll be having a bit of a natter with Beverley Callard, all about the work that's been done by Santander to not only link our financial health and mental health together to show the importance of getting both right, but also the help that they are giving to their customers to make sure that happens. We'll be having a chat with the Mayor of Wolverhampton as we find out about the glorious green spaces on our islands as they're being put to good use with the sowing of some wildflower seeds. I'll be having an natter with George Sampson, all about Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which is at the Grand in October. And on top of that, I have caught up with some of the poets who are involved in a cycle race, which is stopping off in Walsall next week. Full details on the show in a moment. Wonderful wildflowers and carbon-busting nature have been used across the city to improve our environment. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Ryan Eddowes. He is the founder and the project director. We also have Amber Stanley, co-founder, head of creative for this carbon-reducing scheme. And we've got the Mayor of Wolverhampton, Councillor Greg Brackenridge. Good afternoon to you all.
Afternoon.
Right, first of all, let's start with Ryan. Tell us a bit about the project itself.
So the main aim of the project is to basically create highways for nature. So we want to rewild roundabouts, grass verges and parks with wildflowers, trees and shrubs that will basically bring in more nature into our cities and help fight on a local level climate change. We are obviously starting off in Wensford and Wolverhampton, but we want to get this around the UK and have more of an environmental impact.
Yeah, and as a sort of a homegrown thing to start off with, literally growing in this case, and taking in carbon, because when plants are first sown, that is when they take the most carbon in as they are starting to grow, and they can have a huge impact. And Amber, as part of this team, you must be really pleased too with the sort of level of response that you've seen to bring this together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's just been super great, to be honest, to see like everyone coming together and like the positive feedback we've had from like being at all the different, like our launch day was really good, wasn't it? And then all the things on social media that we've been posting as well, we've just had a lot of like lovely feedback and more in a way than like I thought, because I thought at first people aren't always, you know, so happy about change in their local neighbourhood. But yeah, it's been really, really good.
And Mayor of Wolverhampton, Councillor Greg Brackenridge, I mean, as part of what our city does, I mean, the whole council takes very seriously the environmental responsibilities that we have, and that goes from the way in which you empty the bins right the way through to these green spaces.
That's correct. I mean, everything that we do has an impact on the environment, and it's a scientific fact that wherever humans are introduced into the environment, they do degrade it to some degree. What we need to do is do our little bit now, each and every one of us, to put back into the environment, and let's combat that global climate change that is one of the, if not the major issue facing future generations.
And Ryan, we're looking at taking 240 kilos of carbon each year out in just this initial phase of the project. And although 240 kilos may not sound a lot, when you look at the volume of gas that would be in carbon dioxide, that is absolutely huge, isn't it?
It is. And like I said before in the press release itself, I mean, this is just one little area. And if you think just 800 square meters can get 240 kg of carbon out the atmosphere, just think of how many more potentially tons of carbon we would store if we do more areas across the West Midlands. And I think it's just a great way to make the air more clean for the members of the public.
Absolutely. The plants will give out oxygen during the day. Overnight, their system changes, but they don't give out as much carbon as they take in, which is the good bit. So you are actually carbon capturing the whole time. And the other bit is it'll look good too. And as far as the socials go, I think, Amber, you're going to have some great time sharing some brilliant pictures.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Then we've done more areas and places are more fully grown to like get some really nice footage and pictures and stuff and make it look really pretty.
And Greg, obviously, being behind this and helping to champion it as all part of your mayoral year, you must be, again, proud of what our city does.
I'm extremely proud of what the city does. But I'd like to focus on Ryan and Amber, actually. They got in touch with me some months ago, before pen had been put to paper on this, with a few ideas. And I was absolutely on board immediately. They clearly know what they're doing. The benefits of this is that we educate the public. Ryan and Amber are planning to go into schools, some of whom were at the initial sowing, but they're planning to go into schools and educate the public, because there's nobody that this is a greater sort of effort from. And then the youth, put this in the hands of the youth and things happen. But then we have the Staffordshire Regiment Association out there sowing poppies, so it can act as a remembrance garden as well. We have the Rotarians. We had, as I say, local schools. We had Severn Trent out who've made some funding available. I've made a little bit of funding available from Councillors' Ward funds, and it's just gone from strength to strength. So I've connected the dots for Ryan and Amber and got them in touch with people. They've done the rest, and we're already here with this pilot project that we're planning to roll out across Wensfield. The good reason for it being in Wensfield is that we've already got the nature reserve in the canal there, the longest linear nature reserve in the UK. We've got otters, we've got kingfishers, we've got herons down there. We are adding to those wildlife corridors, educating the public through the schools, making the place look great, but that's really good for health and well-being as well. So it ticks every box it could possibly tick. And if we can roll this out across the city, like other cities have started to do pilot projects, potentially it could save money in grass cutting fees, but also have all those benefits I've just outlined.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a win-win all round, and say the flowers themselves, being a wildflower mix that's natural to the UK, we're going to have something which is really going to look the part, and I think it brings a bit of colour when you are driving. Yes, okay, a freshly cut grass island looks great, but take it next level. Let's see some flowers and enjoy a very sort of British look to our green spaces as well. So I think that's going to be great. And right, any particular favourite varieties in there for you? What we're going to see strongest when it comes to the growing cycle?
So the main one we are looking for is something called yellow rattle, and yellow rattle is the meadow maker to wildflower meadows. So that basically stops any grass or weeds kind of coming through and taking over the wildflower patch. So that's the key one we are looking out for first. And then once that's established, that kind of then helps in terms of the maintenance. So you don't have to cut it 6 or 7 times a year like councils do now with grass. You only have to cut it once.
So it's a cost saving, as Greg mentioned, but not just a cost saving, as a bonus and a benefit to it as well. And there's actually a website that people can get involved with if they also want to see what's happening and volunteer.
So the website is ocwy.co.uk. So all of our events and things will be put on there. More so recently on our socials though, isn't it? And then sort of the website, because it takes a little bit longer, is sort of updated a little bit later. So with our recent launch, I'm still currently updating that just because it has to look a little bit more laid out in a way than obviously just put on sort of a news feed.
It's got to look as pretty as the islands. That's what it is, isn't it? You've got a lot to live up to there. And I say that will be the case. So looking out for the socials, make sure you search for Our City's Wild Islands on the socials and you'll be able to pick that up there. And Greg, just a few closing words from you.
I would encourage all councillors and members of the local community, voluntary groups, schools, get in touch with your local councillors, get on board with this scheme, identify a small patch of land in your area, and let's get this moving. I am working behind the scenes to try and work with the Environment Department at the council to try and get them to take this on board in a rather grander scheme. But for now, let's get this going. Visit the website, OCWI, get in touch with Ryan and Amber. They've got the blueprint now. We've done the hard work. We've done the hard yards. That initial one's always the most difficult. They know what they're doing. We're all on board. I'll be more than happy to come and support any of these initiatives as mayor. And let's get this spreading across the city and making all those benefits available to the people that we've outlined today.
Literally sowing the seeds for a future for our city itself. Well, Mayor of Wolverhampton, Councillor Graham Brackenridge, also Ryan Eddowes and Amber Stanley from the project. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
With 40% of people thinking that other people don't want to hear their problems, there is still room to be able to have a conversation and talk. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Beverley Callard, Coronation Street actress and Director of Financial Support at Santander, Josie Clapham. Good afternoon to you both.
Hello, how are you?
All good here. First of all, Beverley, I'll turn to you first of all. Tell us a bit about this report.
Well, first of all, I'm thrilled to bits that someone has actually done this. And because I think more often than not, when we say to someone, how are you? Or how are you feeling? You okay? More often than not, we don't even listen to the answer because we say the question just automatically. And I think the reply is usually automatic. Oh yeah, I'm great, thanks. I'm good, thanks. How are you? And what we need to do is really mean the question and really want to know the truth. And then maybe the person being asked the question, it feels comfortable enough to say, actually, I'm struggling.
Yeah, and it is also about giving an honest answer, but also being clear that that person wants to hear the honest answer. We can all say, yes, I'm fine, but underlying, actually, there are probably a few things that even if it just spent 2 minutes getting something off our chest, it would help massively. And in the characters that you portray on TV, we get to see the extremes of people's lives. And so you more than anybody else knows what it's like telling other people about how your character feels, even if it's not how you feel.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a different thing, really, because those words are written by someone else. But certainly when I was going through problems with mental health and I had clinical depression, when someone asks you how you're feeling, you feel so vulnerable. You always just say, I'm fine, thanks. And because at that point, it's really, really difficult for you to open up because you feel as though you'll be judged.
Yeah, and particularly if it's something like money issues that might be causing someone a problem, that can sometimes seem even harder to talk about because you don't want to appear to be kind of on the scrounge, as it were, if you're telling someone about it. You want to be able to maybe talk through what you can do to help yourself out of that situation.
Absolutely. And sometimes, because certainly my mental health problems led me to not being able to earn a living for quite a long time. My husband became my carer for a while, so he stopped earning. And so we got massive financial problems. And that can happen a lot to lots and lots of people. But also, I think now, because of the state the world is in, and we're coming to the end of furlough as well, you need someone to talk to. And when Santander came up with this and said, do you know what, we're willing to listen and we may be able to help you, and they're training a group of staff to actually care. Wow, I wish I could have had that when I was going through it, because you feel as though your bank is a figure of authority that's not going to listen to you and that you can't speak to a real person. And now things are changing.
Yeah, and Josie, with the work that is being done and the training that is being given, it's almost like a little haven for mental health.
Yes, absolutely right. I mean, Jason, we were aware that attitudes towards mental health have changed. There is more awareness about that. But also we were so conscious that during the pandemic that people struggled in terms of financial and mental well-being, that this research, we really wanted to understand what were customers willing to open up. And it really brought it home to us, saying that two-thirds of adults still feel they can't admit to struggling with their mental health. We had to do something about that. And that's why we're training 900, nearly 1,000 colleagues, financial care specialists, so they can feel comfortable having conversations with people. People feel comfortable opening up, talking about their finances, because we know it impacts mental health. Tony, Jason, we're here to support, not judge. We're here to help. we want to help.
And this is a kind of aside from the financial transaction you might have gone into the branch for as well. It's something which you don't have to be talking about a money worry to have a conversation.
Correct, you don't. But what we have done, and importantly what we've done, is we're recognising that people during the pandemic have had financial struggles, and we built up a team that can be able to be there for those customers to support. But you're absolutely right, we're here to have conversations with customers and people.
So how would somebody go about having that conversation? Walk into the branch and look for somebody with a badge on, or how would it work?
They can come into our branch or they can call us, and we've got customers can call us and they can ask to speak to someone if they're in financial difficulty, and we're there to answer and support customers equally in our branches. But also importantly, Jason, we've put a Money Worries Hub page on our Santander web pages that provides simple hints and tips, but also provides videos of our colleagues who are there to support people and real people that do have money worries, that they can't pay a bill or can't make ends meet.
And Beverley, you've already said that you would have liked this kind of help. It really is a step forward, and it's having institutions like Santander willing to help people out. That yes, they're customers, but they're people too, and it's recognising that.
Yeah, and it's great to know that who you bank with and who you may be in trouble towards, they will help you, and you can actually speak to a real person. I think that means more than anything, just being able to say, I'm struggling and I don't know what to do. And if you know someone cares and someone can understand, that can make a massive difference.
And it's a starting point as well, isn't it? And Josie, I mean, it having been brave enough to have that first step and that conversation is going in the right direction to alleviate the problems.
Jason, spot on. Having that conversation, real people to people, we will continue to support customers and build that relationship and that rapport. Because as Beverley says, we want people to open up. We want to have a relationship. We want to support them. And we want to get them back to feeling good about their finances and feeling good about themselves.
Absolutely. So where can we go for more information on the work that you're doing, aside from just going into any branch of Santander?
For more information on the work we're doing, please do visit our Money Worries Santander web pages. If you Google Money Worries at Santander, customers will be able to see what we have to offer, but also see videos of colleagues that are there to support them, whether it's in branch or at the end of a phone.
And what would they ask for if they do come into branch?
If they do come into branch, ask to speak to someone if they're in financial difficulty. So my financial care specialist, if they ask to speak to them.
So a financial care specialist is what you're looking for. And Beverley, before we let you disappear as well, give us details on where we can find you and where you're going to pop up next, because it's a bit of a break from Corrie at the moment, isn't it?
I left Coronation Street last year, yes, after 32 years. My decision, I hasten to add, but and I love it and always will love it, but I just felt maybe Lizard run her course, I'm not sure. I'm flattered that they would love me to go back, but I just wanted to do other things. So I've just finished filming a new series for ITV, which I think is going to be on in October. So you'll be able to see it quite soon.
Not too long without you, which is the bit that counts, because you on our TV screen is an essential. We absolutely love to have you there.
I so appreciate that.
Well, Beverley Callard and Josie Clapham, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Everybody's talking about Jamie is at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 5th through to the 9th of October, bringing a bit of sparkle to the stage. Somebody who's part of that cast and always knows how to shine when he's showing you his moves is George Sampson. He's with me now. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Are you keeping out of trouble?
I'm trying my best.
What's it like being back on the road? You must be enjoying being back in theatres.
Oh, I love it. You know, we've had 19 months of just doing nothing. You know, absolutely zero work for performers, especially after the year that we've had, the year that everybody's had with COVID and everything that's happened. It's nice to start working again on such a beautiful show and a show that spreads such a positive message. And it's nice to give everybody that perhaps hasn't had the chance to see the show before in the West End or wherever the chance to see it.
And it follows a story of Jamie New. There is a real Jamie out there, and it's a tale of sort of coming out and being glamorous and being allowed to be themselves. But you are one of the nicest people I've ever had to interview, yet you are playing the bully. And you seem to how do you do that? Obviously, the acting skills are there.
Yeah, you know what? For me personally, I always channel being back at school. The people that used to sort of bully me and they were the school bullies at school. And just generally the idiots I know from school. I just sort of channel my inner them.
But I mean, when you were being picked on at school, at no point then did you think, hang on, I'm doing method for when I'm going to be doing some acting later in life. So please do not be the bully. That's the way. We do not want that to happen. But the reality is here, this did happen as part of this tale. So and you get to tell it, and so you've been on the receiving end, so you know how to dish it out on stage. You would never do that in real life, because you're way too nice.
Oh gosh, no.
But it is a story which has got its raw moments, hasn't it? It will have you with tears of joy and pain.
It really will. There's of course, because it's based on a true story and because it is based on Jamie Campbell's story, all the rawness and all the realness comes from truth. And I think that always helps when you're trying to, when you're delivering a stage show, that is as emotional and as raw as this one. It's also helped by the numbers, the songs. The songs are raw and they're told beautifully through, amazing vocals in the show and choreography. Certain numbers will have you crying, certain numbers will have you laughing, certain numbers will have you up out your seat dancing. It really is packed with everything.
A show which has got a serious message alongside it, and one which brings home to theatre audiences, everybody who sees it, the fact that this is a reality. People have their way of expressing themselves. Let them do it.
Everybody has a place where they belong. And if it's anywhere, it's the theatre. And that is the message that we try and take across the country. It's the message that we portray every day, sometimes twice a day. And it's exactly that. There's a place for everybody.
Now, yours isn't the only familiar face in the show. We've got the Shane Ritchie, we've got Leighton Williams, we've got such an amazing cast. It's going to be well worth seeing.
Yeah, it is well worth seeing. Shane's brilliantly funny. He plays Hugo Loco Chanel, who is a retired drag queen, if you will, and Shane just plays it so brilliantly. He's so witty, he's so funny, and Leighton is just a superstar. Leighton is an absolute superstar, incredibly talented, can sing. He can do everything. He can do everything at the best level. So
obviously, there are bits and pieces of the show that you actually get to see. Do you have favourite moments that you get to watch each night?
Well, especially now where different theatres are different. Some moments, a lot of times we go back to our rooms and stuff, but particularly in rehearsals. And in the theatre we're in now, we have to stay backstage and watch the entire show. And there are certain moments. Amy, who plays Margaret, Jim's mum, she's so good at singing and acting and stuff. So that's a real big moment in the show. And the other moments I prefer are the moments I'm in, big dance numbers. Don't Even Know It, which is the opening number. That's my favourite. I love that number. Sort of gets me into the mood of the show and then gets us warmed up, and it's just such a brilliant number, and I love being a part of that. So, but they're completely two different contrasting moments, but both just so good.
And for you personally, I mean, a huge journey from 10 years ago you were doing the likes of Britain's Got Talent when you started out on
14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
We seem to have known you forever, but you're still a kid.
Yeah, well, I'm still playing a kid. Well, I'm 28 now, and I'm trying to hang on to this baby face, and I'm still playing 16, and I'm almost 30, so I'm very happy. But yeah, no, people, wherever I'm out about, and people always say to me, you're the kid that danced in the rain.
Well, you've got your fan base, understandably so, for the work that you do, and you've got a great time to be had as part of a show, which is emotional and moving, and still such good fun. The venues that you play, I mean, you've done the Grand before.
I've not done the Grand before.
Have you
I've been
not?
to the Grand.
Yeah.
No, I watched my friend Oliver. He did panto at the Grand, and I went and watched, and I went backstage and had a look around and stuff. And I was just, it's a lovely theatre. We're going to be there.
It's going to be absolutely awesome week from the 5th through to the 9th of October. 01902 429212 is a box office number. grandtheatre.co.uk to get your tickets and a chance to come back into the theatre and see a show which is moving audiences around the country.
Yes.
George Sampson, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on stage. Break a leg and have a great time.
Thanks for having me.
There'll be a poetry and entertainment element to the Round Britain Women's Cycle Race. That's taking place on the 5th of October when it arrives in Walsall. They'll be making a raid around the Arboretum and many other places. To tell us more, I have a gathered throng. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So we're enjoying the great outdoors at the moment. So first of all, Ian Henry, tell me a bit more about what's going on.
Hi, Jason. So grateful that you've invited us to talk to you about this. We've got some brilliant poets, all sections of the community, and we've been invited to celebrate the Round Britain Women's Cycle Race with poetry. There'll be poetry in Walsall Arboretum, there'll be poetry in Walsall Town Centre, but how awesome is it that Walsall has been selected? So here with us today we have poets from Walsall and we have poets from Wolverhampton and further afield.
Absolutely brilliant gang of poets too. What's the collective noun? If not, someone's got to come up with a collective noun for poets.
Can I ask Donovan?
You can ask Donovan.
Donovan is a wordsmith. Donovan is a musician as well. Donovan.
What's the question?
A collective noun for poets, what would you say?
The collective noun for poets?
Yeah. Gaggle. Gaggle's a good one.
Yeah, I'll go with gaggle, actually,
go with gaggle.
but I'm not entirely sure.
Now, tell us a bit about your path to poetry.
My path, personally, is that I've been writing poetry since childhood days, really. And I was fortunate enough to be appointed as a Poet Laureate for Walsall in 2014. So it's a great pleasure to be invited here because I continue to work with poetry. You'll see some works of mine later this year, all being well, emerge in a anti-hate crime campaign series of films that's going to be published in October.
Because poetry itself is a powerful tool. It actually is something that people react to. You never get a poet without an opinion, and they tend to express it in such a way as other people listen. And it's through it's sometimes rhyme, but certainly the power of the words in verse that can really make a difference when it comes to trying to get something across.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that people might not realise is that Walsall actually has a really rich tradition of poetry. If you look for a website called 100 Walsall Poems, you'll find poems that go back as far as the last 200 years that were written by Walsall poets.
So, and I'm sure there's in somewhere in that tale there's a story about an owl and a pussycat as well, but we'll assume that we all know that one. Okay, so who else have we got involved here? Donovan, who are you going to introduce me to next? I'll
introduce you to Alison Reid, who I believe is the chair of the Walsall Writers' Circle.
There we go.
Hello.
Did you get that right?
Well, I'm on the committee of Walsall Writers' Circle.
That was close enough for me, Donovan. Excellent
Very
work.
Close.
Okay, so when it comes to the Walsall Writers' Circle, a group of like-minded people creating?
Indeed we are. We have a programme of workshops, speakers, we do competitions, we have our own little sessions where we meet together and just do writing quietly on a Sunday afternoon when nobody's around.
That sounds like really good fun, though.
Yes,
and a number of different topics as well. And
yes, we're covering all genres. We include poetry. We've done quite a bit of poetry recently, and we have a few poets amongst us. Some of them, I'm afraid they couldn't be with us today, unfortunately. But yes, we do have poets amongst them, and we do cover poetry. We also cover all sorts of genres, science fiction, novel writing. We write non-fiction stuff. As I said, we have competitions and cups and so on. So, yes,
plenty going on, which is the way we like it.
It's a busy circle. We meet twice a month as well.
Well, we're going to do web addresses from everybody down the line in a short while's time. So where are you going to go next? Who are you going to take me to?
We're going to go to Al Bars.
Okay,
Al. Spoke in the Lamp.
So tell me about what you do.
I've been doing poetry for a long time. So too long to remember. I also have run various different events with poetry, including one in the Arboretum Bandstand a few years ago, and I now run a monthly event called Spoke in the Lamp, which is the Lamp is a theatre space at Brown Hills Community Centre.
I know the one. I've been over there, and it's a great facility as well.
It's a beautiful place, yes, just ideal for this kind of thing.
And that is inspiration enough in itself, isn't it, really, when you've got such a great space to work?
It is a great place. I love running an event there. I did one years ago in Langley. I couldn't carry on with that, and I looked for a place that would be good enough to have a good group of people and a theatre space, which is exactly what it is.
Well, part of the group who are all working on this poetry marking the cycle route coming through Walsall. I'm going to go to a musician next, I think. We have a gentleman with a guitar who we definitely need to have a chat with. So hand over the microphone, Al, and we can find out what's going on here.
This is Morris.
Morris.
Thank you all.
How are you, sir?
Not too bad, sir.
No, I think we've chatted before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. We have.
And with the work that you do, music is basically poetry with a tune behind it. And I'm not oversimplifying there. I hope it is looking for make sure there's no filthy looks from any of our poets. But it's an adaptation and a way of working, and you enjoy your work, don't you?
Yeah, it all depends what mood takes me, whether I do it by the spoken word or by music.
Mm-hmm. But do you do the same piece sometimes? Sometimes with music, sometimes without?
Yeah, I do it with music or without. It all depends on what mood takes me or what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
You can say things better without music, and sometimes you can say some things better with music.
So you use that to adapt and see what is right for you at that time. And what is your involvement, do you think, going to be during this event on the 5th of October?
Well, I've come to give my full 100% support for the cause.
Mm-hmm.
And as women are probably the biggest issue today, in today's world, with the abuse of women, and I give them my full support. I've been brought up by a very well educated and Christian woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's taught me how to respect women, so I'm here out of respect to spread the message that women are our foundation. Men can't go anywhere without women, and there's a lot of abuse within the community about women, and I'm a supporter for women against the abuse that's been given by men.
And that lives in your work as well?
Of course, absolutely.
Andy is up next. That's the way we like it. Andy, you take the centre stage now as we have the rest of our... we said gaggle, didn't we? So tell us more about what you're doing as part of this event.
Well, it's exciting to see actually so many poets out in the sunlight, and really that I'm hoping to be contributing some words. Well, no, I think that this event, pulling together poetry, cycling and the people of Walsall, is so original, such a fantastic idea. So I'm just delighted to be part of it and to bring a few words, maybe a bit of humour to the event. If I'm in a bad mood, it'll be tough poetry.
Well, fingers crossed it'll be a good day, and you'll be able to share some joy, which I think
that's the thing, and hopefully there are others who are going to be contributing a lot who are here too.
It'll cheer you up even if it goes a little wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay, where are we going next? I spot a young lady in a yellow coat.
Yeah, I think Scarlett should be given a go. Here you go.
Thank you.
Scarlett, tell us a bit more about you.
Hiya, my name's Scarlett Wood-Bennett. I'm a poet and also the founder of Fawn Press, which is a poetry publisher in the heart of the Midlands.
And working really from, say, the heart of the country and sharing words across the globe, because everything's international these days. The internet will bring you anything you want. Publishing through the likes of the Amazon store gives opportunities too. And this is something that has allowed poetry to really expand. And whereas you might be a successful poet within a group in somewhere like Walsall or Wolverhampton in the past, now 10, 15, 20 years on since the birth of the internet, we really do have a global arts community.
Yeah, I mean, you raised the question of opportunity, which is really interesting. That's something we stand for. Publishing underrepresented writers, emerging writers, it's really at the core of what we're working towards. We have an open call for submissions at the moment. You can head over to formpress.co.uk and we're hoping to publish an anthology in time for Christmas.
So that should be good. So you can find the details there. You snuck in the website, which we were going to do later on, but
now
we'll give you... No, that's fine. We can go with that because everybody's got to remember their website. Ian will be running down that line getting web details off everybody in a moment. So where are we going next then? Who are you going to introduce me to? Keith. Keith is up next. So Keith, tell us a bit about you and your work.
I've never been fully professional entertainer of that sort, but for a long time I've been a semi-pro in music and singing, and now in poetry. I started off at school writing poetry and was nearly put off the future by the teacher who wasn't very complimentary.
Yeah, teachers can be hard work sometimes, and it's knowing when to encourage and when not. But I mean, they're there to bring a curriculum, which is sometimes, if you want to be outside of that, because that's your area of creativity, that's where it can become difficult. But that hasn't held you back, has it?
No, I think it was a challenge. She didn't seem very enthusiastic, but I decided to get over that and get on with the writing. So from there on I did some writing, but later on, late teens, early 20s, I started to write songs and music, and we got involved with groups that were singing semi-professionally, and went through 20 or 30 years in doing that. And then later on, as the voice started to get a little bit less oiled, I decided to go for poetry. In the last 5 or 10 years, I've been doing performance poetry as a concentration rather than the music side.
Well, I mean, that in itself is going to bring its own elements from yourself into the event on the 5th of October and an involvement there. And, of course, beyond that, because this is going to set up people to be able to have a greater, bigger conversation moving outside of that.
Absolutely, yes. I'm looking forward to it.
That should be good. Right, you're going to find me next week. I think we've got 2 people still to talk to.
Hello, I'm Leanne Cooper.
So, Leanne, tell us a bit about your work.
So I've been performing now for about 4 years. I've been writing poetry since I was young, since I was little. And I like to try and raise awareness with my writing, with important topics, important to me, such as mental health, domestic violence. I just would like to write things that people can relate to and signpost them to get help for important topics.
So it is having access to material like that, having that shared.
Yeah.
Social media is a massively powerful tool for both good and bad, and it's trying to get the good stuff out there through the creativity and the words.
I just feel that people with mental health, they don't like to reach out. So if they can see that there's other people out there who experience similar things to them, it's opening the gate for them, and they don't feel so alone, and it makes it that little bit easier to seek out the help. You don't feel so alone and like you're the weird person for feeling that way.
Yeah, everybody has just got a different perspective and point of view, and it's those points of views and the vision that you can have when you're writing as well that can help expand topics that you hadn't even realised you got inside you sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. I draw from my own experience. I don't want to be a hypocrite and talk for other people. Everybody's experience is different, so I draw from my own experience, and if people can relate, that's brilliant. And if I can help just one person through my poetry, that's my job done. I feel good then.
Do we have one more? A gentleman in a top hat who I think is going to come and have a chat with us. He's got a book as well. So, sir, I will let you introduce yourself to me.
Hi, I'm Andy Clayton, and the book is Shakespeare. Ignore the Shakespeare.
It's just a prop that you carry with you at all times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very much like the hat.
I'm the creative force behind Poetry in Motion.
And so this event around the cycling is something which you wouldn't necessarily think of marrying the two, but there is links, and there are such great ways of describing an event like this that it deserves a poem in its own right.
Maybe. An epic, a saga. No, I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I like to mess around with words, and I like to write lyrics, and I like to read and to listen to other people's poetry. And when we discovered that the women's tour was coming to Walsall, I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime event of that kind of magnitude of event in that sport. They won't be back anytime soon, and it's very, very fortunate for Walsall to get the beginning and end of a stage in the same town. So 64 miles, endurance cycling, the cream of women's cycling coming to our town. How do you celebrate it? And I figured, let's get some poets. We've got plenty of talent in the town. And then it's really a logical progression. What if we put the poets on a bike?
There's a thing.
Right. How do I get a poet on a bike? Now, you see, that's more cracker joke. But it turns out the answer is you take an old ice cream truck, you take the freezer off the front, you drop a podium on instead, and we're going to cycle from place to place in the town centre on Tuesday the 5th with a series of poets going to stand up there and share their wisdom and their words.
Well, I do like that. It sounds a fantastic idea. Right, we're on to the web address stage of this and all the socials. We'll let you begin because Poetry in Motion is what we're here initially to talk about.
OK, Poetry in Motion is a physical project, has no web presence whatsoever. We'll be sharing the fruits of our labours with local Facebook groups like Karma Times. Very, very grateful to Phil for coming out and doing some of the photography today with our poets and with our local women riders. There are a number of local cycle touring clubs that have supported us by sending riders out for the photo shoot today. Very grateful to them as well. And I couldn't go much further, honestly, without mentioning that obviously Walsall Council are holding together all the bits and pieces. It's their roads that the women are cycling on. It's their town centre I'm going to be dropping poets into. So there's more information about the event, about all the road closures, about the logistics and everything, all over the web at the moment, and people should just go and delve in. And then on the day, you can turn up in person, There's a massive loop round Barbican. Stand on the side of the road and see them come past 10 times around the loop. Or you can watch online. It'll be live. And also, I think, on some of the television sports channels. So
you'll be able to get to that, and hopefully some poetry snuck in around all of that. So
we'll be in the background,
fingers
shouting.
crossed. Right, so we need some web addresses off everybody. Let's work our way down. We'll let you hand on the mic.
Absolutely.
So let's have social media and everything. Everyone in line, please, for socials. So let's begin.
I think the website that I would like to point the world to really is the 100 Walsall Poems website. I have my own website also, but I think for this particular occasion, I'd like to just say, visit 100WalsallPoems.com.
Sounds good to
me. And you'll find a wealth of Walsall poetry there, including my own.
Brilliant. And next?
We meet twice a month, and you can find more information on walsallwriterscircle.wordpress.com, or you can email me at walsall.writerscircle@hotmail.co.uk.
And next in line?
Spoke in the Lamp. If you look it up on Facebook, there's a group for it, and my name's Al Bars, ALBARZ, and if you want to email me, poet@albars.uk, and you'll get to me, and I'll pass you on to whatever information you need.
Sounds good to me. And we pass down the mic down the line.
You'll be relieved to know I haven't got a website I'm going to tell you to go to, but just that there are a lot of groups. We've heard of one or two there. There are others operating in Stafford. There are others operating in Wolverhampton. There's the Poets, Prattlers and Pandemonialists in Wolverhampton. They're fabulous. You can catch poetry all over the place, so come and join us.
Okie dokie. And do come in, everybody else, as you come to tell me your web details. What have you got for me?
I've just got an email, I'm afraid. I'm not associated with a group or a club in particular, although I do go to some of them and I'm associated with them. But if anybody wants to contact me, here we go with the email, all lowercase, kgwllbsc@gmail.com.
Simple as that. Next up,
Thank you
Scarlett.
So you can follow Fawn Press, that's FAWN, on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, or find us at fawnpress.co.uk.
Okay, everybody else move in a little bit as we run down the rest of our details.
Right, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Leanne Cooper, author. If you're into haikus, I run the Lost Haiku Project. Just search that Facebook and Instagram again. Thank you.
Okay, and you're real life, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we're real life, but I'm also carrying Shakespeare, so if you like Shakespeare and you like beer, come and join us in the pub for Your Bard. Facebook.com/your, Y-O-U-R, Bard, B-A-R-D, Your Bard, all one word. We sit down at 7 o'clock once a month. We hand out the parts through the sorting hat, and then we sit around with a book in one hand and a pint in the other, reading Shakespeare's comedies.
I think that's probably the best thing to do whilst reading Shakespeare.
Yeah, my name's Maurice Malcolm. It's mauricemalcolm.com. It's MAURICE, Malcolm, MALCOLM.com. Check out my website, and that's how you get there. I need some new material on there. There's loads going on in the world at the moment. I find it a very exciting time to be a poet, and it's the best time because this era, what we're in now, is going to change the whole world and the whole sequence of things. So this is the time to be a poet. Shout it out loud.
That's the way. And Ian Henry, you can come and join us in the middle here, and we will talk about the last a few bits to mention, because we've got your work which is available out there. And thank you for bringing all this gang together to me today.
Jason, always a pleasure, never a chore. My name's Ian Henry. My website is ianhenrypoet.com. My latest book is Poems of Hope, available at Cateshill Press, launched at Wolverhampton Literature Festival for the Teenage Cancer Trust. Jason, thank you. I'm so grateful.
No, thank you all. Have a great time on the 5th of October. It's going to be an amazing event, and of course it's just ripples from there, isn't it? Because it's one little event like that, which is actually a huge event, is then going to cause a massive splash, and there'll be so many more people involved. Thank you all, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, that's it all for this week. Back with episode 641 next week, which will include more from the Panto at the Grand as Cinderella is on stage from the 4th of December through to the 9th of January. All that on the show next week, plus loads more. See you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.